Welcome. You're listening to A Sister's Love. It's time to talk about mental health and wellness with your host, Sharon Bryant. We'll be exploring different topics related to mental health and breaking down the stigma around it. If you're looking for empowerment and inspiration on your journey to mental wellness, you're in the right place.
Welcome to a Sisters Love podcast, which is under my brand, godsbestfriend.com. I am Sharon Bryant, and I am your host of this podcast. And this podcast was made in mind so that sisters can talk about pretty much anything that they would like to talk about, especially if you're suffering with mental health, drugs and alcohol addiction, behavior health, whatever your issues is. We want to be able to extend our loving arms and allow you to talk about that which bothers you. A Sisters Love podcast was created in mind because I myself went through a mental health breakdown. And I would like to share my story and hopefully it will heal someone else. 2014, I had a mental breakdown and I didn't understand what was going on at that time, but I was doing so much. I am a hairstylist by trade. I was in ministry. I had a boatload of family and, was starting a new job at that particular time. And one fine day when I was at home, all of a sudden something happened and I began to cry and I didn't understand why I'm crying. And so I was outside my home and I was laying on my car and I just blanked out. And I didn't understand why, but thank God my girlfriend, she was there and she was able to come outside and see what was going on so that she could help me get to the next phase. And in return, she called my mom, and I was able to speak to my mom. And my mom encouraged me to go get help. And at this time, of course, I'm afraid because, you always hear things about, the psychiatric ward or sitting on somebody's chair. You always hear such negative things about it. So I fought that. But when my mother told me it was okay to go get the help, I went on and did it. And I'm glad that I did. I did have to go into the hospital and they have a third and fourth floor, which is called the psychiatric ward. And so I did sign myself up so that I can get the help that I need. At this time, I didn't have health insurance. And so I was afraid to charge up a bill and, all the things that we use to, we, these are the things that we use to avoid getting the help. And so while I was there, I was able to see a psychiatrist and I was there for 3 days. Very scary. I was on a ward that had other people that were going through their challenges. And so because I'd never been here, I was very, very afraid. So it behooved me to do everything I was told to do. And that's what I did. But while I was there for those 3 days, I was able to get I was around other people. They brought in therapists and counselors and, of course, medication. And, in the course of those 3 days, the watch care was very pertinent. And I really do. I'm grateful for that. And so on the third day, they released me, let me know what was going on. And so I end up taking medication for a while. But at that time, psychiatrists and therapists and counselors were very expensive. And me not having insurance, I couldn't afford to continue taking the medication that they gave to balance me. So eventually one day I went cold turkey, and that was a big mistake. because you are on this medication for such a length of time, you should never go cold turkey. You should always consult your physician, your therapist, your counselor, your psychiatrist. You should always consult them and let them know what is going on and allow them to wean you off this medication. So you, that was 2014. 3 years has passed, and this is 2017. And by this time, I've been promoted. I started out as a frontline worker, was promoted to a supervisor, and now my dream, I'm promoted to a manager. And so I had like 7 staff up under me dealing with temps, because when you're understaffed, you have to go with a company so that you could, continue production. I was challenged in a lot of things, especially on this particular job. I had a boss that tell me it would take me a year, to become a manager. And I told him, I challenged him. I said, no, I can do it in 6 months. And I did it in 6 months. So I love my job. I love being around people. At that time, I was a hairstylist, still doing hair. I was in ministry, just running up and down the road and just trying to please everybody. And yes, I love ministry. And yes, I love my job. And yes, I love beautifying women. But at a given point, the management job was very stressful, but the client liked me. And I really do appreciate the skill that God gave me. One of my girlfriends, you know, she she was the one that trained me. And I think when she left to go to another company, inside the company, I was able to step into that position. So what am I saying? At this point, this is 2017. I am realizing that something is going on. I am becoming very emotional. I'm forgetting things. My barrier was just confusing. I didn't remember how to type a letter. And I wasn't able to go on vacation because this company didn't want other people to come and run their company. So it made it kind of difficult for me to take a vacation because nobody wanted to come work for this company. Nobody liked them. And so that was rough on me. And so one day I went downstairs to order food for the week. And while I was downstairs, I experienced memory loss. And I was kind of confused because I didn't understand what is going on. And by this time, I have had 7 deaths in my family. I never really took bereavement because I'm so dedicated to the job. I went one day to the funeral, and then the next day I'm back at work. So I never really had the opportunity to really bereave, to have those days off. And so it continued on. And one day I went to go sit in my office. I started to become afraid of people, afraid of my staff, afraid of everything. I just felt like it was overwhelming. And so when I sat in my office, I called my boss and I said to him, if I don't take a vacation this day, I'm not going to be here. And I think I'm so grateful to the higher up. He recognized that I needed a vacation. He asked me, could I give him maybe a day? And then he allowed me to go on this vacation. Well, I want to say to you, when I went on that vacation, I never went back to work. And so the mental challenges began. So while I was on vacation, I was really enjoying the time away. And I noticed myself being withdrawn and I didn't want to be around people. I just didn't want people calling on me, trying to get me to do things. Just leave me alone. And so it was that time to go back. I was supposed to take a 2 week vacation, but it ended up taking a 3 week vacation. And I just end up not going back. And in between that time, because of the 7 deaths, I didn't realize it was taking a toll on me. I didn't realize I was giving a lot of myself and not really taking care of me. And so I went into the shell again. So remember, the first one was 2014. The second one, the mental breakdown, was in 2017. And this one really took me, it was worse than the second. I mean, the first, I'm sorry. It was worse than the first. And I realized that my independence has now been taken away. And so now my cognitive skills are depleting. And I'm still trying to figure out what is going on. Why am I feeling down? Why is my life spiraling like this? And not realizing that the rest is really what I needed. And I was pressured to come back. And one of the things I learned in the second bout, I was able to go back into the hospital. This time I did not go on a ward, but I was able to go in a outpatient treatment. And that really blessed me because this time I was educated and I learned a lot in this setting. I was scared of everybody, didn't know anybody, but I knew I needed help and I knew I didn't want to stay in that state because at this time I'm in darkness. My mind is cloudy, my judgment is off, and I'm now becoming, I don't know who I am. And so while I was in this setting, it was 30 days, and I was able to go every day, 9 to 3, so it was like 6 hours a day. And at this particular treatment center, there are therapists, there are counselors, there are psychiatry, medication, basically everything that you need to bring you back to your healthy state. And so I fought that. I don't know these people. I'm scared. Things are going on that I don't understand. And I'm not telling these people nothing. That's how I felt. Sometimes when you need your help, a lot of times we fight it. But if you just give into it from love and support, I promise you it is not bad as you think. So because my sisters backed me up, my mom, my sisters, my brothers were there, my friends, my clients, everybody supported me, and you need that. And so I continued to go. And for 3 weeks, I decided I was not going to participate in anything because at that time I couldn't remember how to put words together. And I was afraid to talk because I'm thinking nobody gonna understand what I'm saying, and you think I'm babbling because I probably was. And so I just stay quiet. One of the things I remember is every day they would ask you, how you doing? And that used to irritate me and frustrate me. I'm like, why are you asking, how am I doing? I'm here. And so, but I found out the reason why, and it's always a method to the madness, okay? And so every day I would say the same thing. I'm good because they don't accept certain words. I'm fine, Really, I'm not, but I'm saying that so they can leave me alone. And I'm listening to, we had different therapy throughout around the clock. So, 1 hour we're doing this, the next hour we could be doing TED Talk. There's an hour where we're doing recreational therapy, which is like coloring, painting, building bird houses. Then we are at lunch. Then there's a time when we go outside. That used to irritate me so much. I'm like, why are we going out in this hot sun? But the reason why we was going outside, because the sun is your vitamin D. And they don't like you to be cooped up because it's refreshing to your mind. I didn't know that then, but now that I know it and now that I do it, I understand why. And so this place was really, really good. It's in Southern Maryland. They're really good, and they knew I was playing. They knew I wasn't participating. And one thing they will do, they will inform your family. let them know your progress so they can have a treatment plan and hopefully you want to follow that plan. And so my sister and them was always up there. I was always finding reasons to get out of there, always finding a reason not to get on that transportation. But I was so glad my sister seen through me. And so when I made these reasons up, they always got me together and put me in the car and took me down there. I used to couldn't stand them for that, but I love them for it today. And but I'm glad I went through that period because it really did help. It educated me on the medication that I was taking. It educated me on the mental health. It also taught me how to cope with mental health because you can deal with mental health, but you just need a treatment plan and someone to back you up or support you so that you can get through it. You can get through it, okay? I promise you. And so those 30 days was over and my job allowed it. And and then I came home and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do next because one of the things that they said to us, if you're not ready to go back to work or ready to do this, don't do it. And I understand why they said that now, but there's a reason to everything that they're doing. And so I came home. I was still pressured by this time. I've been out for like 6 months, 7 months, but my job waited for me. And that was starting to irritate me because I'm like, find somebody else because I don't want to come back. But because of the good rapport that I had with them, they waited for me. And so they wanted me to come back and I was still afraid, still just coming out of it. And so I went back, just to see could I handle it. And when I got there, I had lost a lot of weight. So I knew people was gonna say to me, "Oh my God, you lost a lot of weight." I went from a 12 to a 2, almost down to a 0. And so I knew people was gonna ask me what was wrong, what's going on. And I really didn't want to answer them because that was irritating as well. I just want people to leave me alone and just let me do what I do. And so now I'm going back as a manager because that's what I left as, but I'm still not ready and prepared for it. And so I try to get through my day, spoke to everybody and just trying to go on my merry little way. But then when I went to my office and I'm trying to do the things that I did before, I still couldn't remember. I've been gone for 7 months. I still couldn't remember. They wanted me to respond to a catering. I didn't know what to say. And then an incident happened there. And oh my God, it scared me to no avail. Now remember, I'm running $1 million company. And so I'm saving them money on a monthly basis. But now that I'm back, I don't have a clue to what is going on. And so an incident happened in the lunchroom, and I literally freaked out. And when I tell you I was scared, anxiety hit me like none other. And so when I found a loophole, I ran down to my office. And when I got to my office, I hurried up and closed the door and locked it because I didn't want nobody coming after me. I don't know what is going on. I didn't want to face it. I didn't even know how to handle it. But of course, somebody came down and I had to tell the acting manager there that I must leave and I must leave now. And she was kind of stunned, but it didn't matter to me. I had to get out of there because the anxiety was hitting me like none other, and I had to get out of there. And so I did. And so when I left, she said, "You have to come back with a doctor's note." And I knew I wasn't coming back, so it didn't matter to me. And I didn't. So when I left there, I never returned. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. One of the things I want you to know, realize that when you're going through your challenges, sometimes we have to eliminate things. And I know it's scary because that was my job. That's what paid my bills. But at that moment, I had to think about sharing. And I did. And I'm glad I did because at that moment in time, I just started thinking about me. I stopped worrying about them calling me, trying to get me to come to work. They was calling every day. I'm so glad that my sister Antoinette, this is why this podcast has come about, and that is Antoinette Shaw, and we're gonna talk about her. I do have other sisters, and their name is Vanessa, Cynthia, and Jisoo, and my brothers, Kenneth, Titus, who is deceased, Paul, Mark, and John. Antoinette has passed on. She died January 2020. And so, um, I was telling you about her. And so I was living in her apartment, and she was literally taking care of me. All of them did, but I was living with her. And so she herself had her own bout with congestive heart failure, was hurting a lot, and she was attached to a machine, connects her heart and allow it to continue to beat because her percentage of her heart rate percentages were very low. And so I'm watching her as much as she can take care of me. And I really do appreciate her. And every time I talk about it, it makes me cry. That means I'm not going to forget her. I love my sisters. Don't get me wrong. They took care of everything. My sisters paid the bills. My sisters kept me together. My sisters did. My family did. They were just very supportive, and I appreciate them for it. But while I'm living in this house with my sister, my baby sister at that, I'm just watching her. Such a kind, sweet person. She had 3 kids. She herself experienced a loss. Her son passed away while she herself was in the hospital. We went through so much that year. But that didn't stop her for no reason. And I was living in her house, in the living room, in the corner. And while I was in that dark state, that mental breakdown, all kinds of things was happening. I did not like light. I did not want to be around light. I needed to be in the dark because I was trying to hide from people. I didn't want the kids to come over. I didn't want my grandkids to come. I didn't want to see people because I needed to be in the darkness because I'm trying to hide from something. Don't ask me why, but that's just how I felt. But a loving sister always come by. You hungry? Nope. You going to the grocery store? You want to go? Nope. Nope. I didn't go nowhere. I stayed in the house for 7 months. I was afraid to go outside. My hair wasn't done. I was scared to comb it, scared to get it done, scared to go around people. I just didn't want to be around people. And the more and more I didn't want to be around her, the more and more they was coming. And I'm like, why can't I be to myself? But I am living with my sister because by this time I gave up my apartment. So I got to deal with it. But I'm watching her continue to cook. She's watching her grandson. She's being a mother. She's grieving, but she loved God. And while I sat in that corner every weekend, she failed not to go into the house of the Lord. I love her for that. Every weekend, I don't care if it's raining, sleet, hail, shining, thunderstorm. She got in her car and she went to church. And I'm watching her. I'm like, she is so crazy to be doing all that. You got all this stuff going on. Why are you going out the door? This is what I'm saying, right? But I heard her say, "You want to go to church?" I said, "No, I don't." And she said, "Okay, I'll see you when I get back." She get back, "You all right?" "Yes, I am." "You want to eat?" "No, I don't." I didn't have an appetite to eat. So that's why I was so frail. But every weekend she came and she asked me that question. And finally one day she said, "You want to go to church?" I said, "Yes, I do." And she was shocked. I said, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." because I got tired of being in that corner because things were talking to me in the corner. You know, when your coping skills is off, and I'm a woman of the cloth, but I ain't remember how to pray, nor did I know how to read a Bible. All I knew is that I'm watching this TV with anxiety and depression, and everything on the TV, I'm thinking gonna happen to me. So I am really going through some changes over here in this corner. But she asked me to go, and I did, and that saved my life. I promise you. And so when I got there, I was so scared to be around these people. I didn't know them, but she did, and I trust her. And so she held my hand, and she said, "You want to go up for prayer?" I said, "No, I don't. I don't want to go up for prayer." But she said, "I will go up there with you. You need support." And she went up there with me. And she said, "Let's get you prayer." I said, "Okay, long as I'm holding your hand." And we did. My pastor, who was my pastor now, he prayed. And we went back to the chair, but there was a young lady that is on the praise team. I'm not going to name names on here other than the ones I spoke on, but there was a young lady that was on the praise team, and she was singing a song. There's a miracle. No, break every chain. She said, break every chain. And I think she might have said there's a miracle on this row and it's coming for you too. And so I received that. I don't understand how I did, but I received it. And I tell you, that day that I went to church, I could feel the darkness. I could feel the depression. I could feel it. I could feel them leaving. All of a sudden, my mind wasn't cloudy like it was. All of a sudden, I'm thinking clearly. I'm like, what is going on? And I was so happy. And all of a sudden, my praise came back. God, I thank you for the praise. And you don't know how it feels when you're in a state of darkness, when the light is turned on and your mind is free. It's a wonderful thing. And I know some of you are probably feeling that way, but I encourage you, find something inspirational. Find something that will lift you up. Tell somebody about it. Don't be afraid to tell someone that you need help. That support will bless you later. That support will bless you later. I'm almost at time, but I'm gonna have to finish this. I'm gonna have to finish this later. But love and support will heal you. And a sister's love, that is what got me through. My sisters, their love for me, unconditional. They see me through this period. And so I owe this time to share with you because I want to see somebody else come through. So love yourself. See about you. It's called self-care. You matter. You are important. I will talk to you soon. Love you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of A Sister's Love. We hope that our discussion was able to provide you with some insight and inspiration. If you ever need someone to talk to, our doors are always open. For support on your journey, visit us online at www.godsbestfriend.com. Until next time, remember, together we are not alone.